So I'll read through what I've got and think about why have I highlighted some of these phrases in yellow. They're bits that I found a bit tricky or have made me think, oh, this is going to need some work. So I've got where is for this inside and outside. That's quite similar syntax there. Similar order. We've got inside and outside in the same position in the line. On what woe would one lay such linen? Well, that will sound strange, but never mind. We'll fix that later. Linen. I highlighted that because the German word was actually quite hard to find in a dictionary. It's more often it's Leinen now, I think. But I did find linen by looking up in Duden, the dictionary online. You can find, just by Googling, you can find words in other dictionaries, perhaps not the one that you use at school. The main dictionary I use is the Oxford English Dictionary and DictCC. I think, yes, that pops up there. That's a really helpful dictionary. And of course, just if you Google a word that you want to find and Bedeutung, then that will find the meaning. Bedeutung is the meaning. And that will help you find German language dictionaries if you can read German well enough that you can read a German dictionary where the meaning is explained in German. Anyway, on with the translation. I've written what skies, heavens are reflected within the inland lake of these open roses. Now that's highlighted there, and I've used curly brackets because that's a bit of a strange phrase. Binnensee. In German, Binnensee means inside sea or landlocked lake, but really we only need the binnen bit because a see can also be sea, like open sea. But in English we just say lake, we don't need to say landlocked lake or inland lake. So is that phrase a little redundant? Can we just reduce it to lake? Unfortunately we're going to lose that rhyming word binnen, which rhymes of course with linen and innen. So that's one of the examples where perhaps the phrase that Rilke has used is really because of the rhyme that's prompted that word for him. And perhaps we can't achieve that same effect in English. I'll carry on. These open roses, these carefree roses, I've inserted that because it's obvious in German that that adjective Sorglosen refers to roses. Maybe we need to expel that out more in English. See or look at them. Loose in a relaxed pose. I've highlighted that in yellow in the German because it's quite strange to say, effectively have the same adjective twice. Lose im Losen. Loose in looseness or in being loose. In a loose state. A bit odd. What can we do with that? Lying around as though they could never be spilled by a trembling hand, or as though a trembling hand could never spill them. Oh, odd. What does he mean by spill? Knock over? It can also mean bury, so like if there's an avalanche, snow of landfall, that can be verschütten. They, the flowers, the roses, can hardly hold themselves up. Many let themselves be overfilled. Sich überfüllen. What does he mean? and flow from within or from the interior to inside space, Innenraum, into the days that always close, fuller and fuller, until the whole summer becomes a room, and a room within a dream. So we've got the sense, we've got the gist translation, but it's not really a poem, is it? And it doesn't really make sense. At this stage, another tip that might help with decoding the essence of the poem, the sense of the poem, is to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask your teachers, or perhaps you've got a German pen friend. Even if you use Twitter or on a forum like that, you could ask, hashtag German, can anyone help me with this phrase? And another helpful tip, if you're translating an old poem, perhaps it's out of copyright, there may well be a lot of translations already on the internet. Now, there's no shame in looking at them, comparing, and using them as another tool, another resource to decode the sense no, don't forget that the Google Translate version that's produced by a robot, it's not reliable. It might be nonsense. Likewise, a translation that's published by another translator, it might be quite free, have changed a lot. So you can't take that as gospel truth. That's what that poem says. But by comparing different versions, one produced by a robot, one produced by a translator, that can help you to work out what you understand by the German, and then you can work on it to make your own poem from it.